What's going on YouTube? I'm E and this is SimplyPut Scents. And I wanted to share with you guys my top 10 favorite men's fragrance releases for 2016. I think the designer fragrance game for men wasn't too bad in 2016. Actually, it was not bad at all. I think, of course, winter fragrances dominated as usual. But there were a few warm weather fragrances that did pretty well also. So let's just get down to this list. I have 4 honorable mentions, so let's get those out the way, shall we? So my first honorable mention goes to the house of Carvin, and the fragrance is Carvin L'Eau Intense. Guys, Carvin L'Eau Intense I think is a major sleeper. To be honest, it's one of the few fragrances with men in it that I can tolerate, which is saying a lot. This fragrance is not in the top 10 in this list, but I would say it's definitely within the top 5 summer releases of 2016, without question. My second honorable mention is from the house of Bulgari, and the fragrance is Man in Black Orient. Bulgari Man in Black Orient is a very, very good smelling fragrance. Actually, I think it almost improves on the original Man in Black, in my opinion. It has a little bit more longevity, it has a little bit more depth, and it has a little bit more density. And all in all, I really appreciate the smell. From the house of Boss, and the fragrance is Boss Bottle Intense EDP. Eau Extreme Intense Parfum. Yeah. I honestly think this should have been the original Boss Bottle Intense. It's just a perfected version of all the Boss bottles released so far. Why it's not on the list, it's just not enough of an improvement on the Intense version to warrant placement on this list, in my opinion. So I think there were other fragrances that I think impressed more to me. Even though this fragrance is definitely worth your time and your consideration, it just didn't make the cut. And my last honorable mention is from the house of Jean-Paul Gaultier, and the fragrance is Le Male Eau Fraîche, or Popeye. Le Male Eau Fraîche Popeye is definitely the best warm weather Le Male flanker ever done. It's extremely pleasant, very, very easily well received, and I would say it's probably the second best flanker ever made with the Le Male name, right behind the Ultra Male, which I think is the thing. So just fell short of this list, but definitely a scent to consider. So guys, yes, we're getting into this top 10 and it's really, really exciting. Man, this was really difficult, I gotta admit. This was kind of complicated, but I think I did a decent job. Hopefully you'll feel the same. My number 10 pick is from the house of Paco Rabanne, and the fragrance is Invictus Aqua. The 3 words that I would use to describe Invictus Aqua: fun, sweet, aquatic. Invictus Aqua, I think, is a fragrance that a lot of people can argue is an improvement on the original Invictus. It's very appealing to most noses. It's very easy to wear. And even though it's not the most amazing fragrance, it's actually fun to wear and does a good job in that warm weather situation. Number 9 is from the house of Jimmy Choo, and the fragrance is Jimmy Choo Intense. The 3 words that I would use to describe this fragrance: fruity, fresh, improvement. This is a huge improvement on the original Jimmy Choo Man. Jimmy Choo Man was almost an embarrassment. It could have been like an aftershave. It lasts less than an hour on a lot of skins, including mine. It was very annoying. Jimmy Choo Man Intense, however, I think they really stepped their game up with this scent. It smells extremely pleasant, very easy to wear. It's a compliment getting scent, and again, it's not the most complex, but it's very, very likable and is extremely versatile. From the house of Guerlain, and the fragrance is EDI, EDP. The three words that I would use to describe this fragrance is creamy, sweet, and underwhelming. Yes, I would say that this fragrance is an underwhelming scent. I had such high expectations. But when I put my expectations in check and I just smelt the scent and just focus on what it is, I'm impressed. The execution of the fragrance is very, very well done. Very tight. You know, the blend, tight. The notes, tight. All in all, I really do appreciate the scent, and I think the release is top notch. From the house of Armani, and the fragrance is Armani Cold Profumo. The three words that I would use to describe this fragrance: trendy, overdone, well done. I think that's 4 words, right? Okay, cool. It kind of reminds you of Dolce & Gabbana's The One meets 1 Million. Yeah. It's very, very in the same vein of what's trendy and popular at the moment. I would honestly say that this is one of the better executed scents within this overdone genre. Yeah, I would for sure make that argument. And the fragrance is Tobacco Collection, rich, warm, addictive. So the three words that I would use to describe this fragrance is rich, warm, and addictive. That sounds familiar, right? Those three descriptions nail this scent. It's extremely rich. You would not believe Zara made this fragrance. I mean, Zara is really doing some damage. Zara's has almost become like the Walmart of the clothing game. And to be honest with you, with their new releases of fragrances, I think they might be coming after you fragrance companies very, very soon. And rich, warm, and addictive is a sign that they're coming hard. This fragrance is extremely well done. Number 5 is from the house of Ferragamo, and the fragrance is Uomo. The three words that I would use to describe this fragrance: untamed, explosive, tiramisu. It's a head turn. A lot of people would just say,
this is just a typical sweet scent.
But I think that would be a very lazy interpretation of this scent. Because yes, it is sweet, and a lot of fragrances are sweet. But this is doing sweet differently. And for that, I give Ferragamo a lot of credit. Number 4 might be my most shocking pick. Well, maybe not. Stay tuned. But number 4 might be one of the shocking picks on this list, because it's by the house Gucci, and the fragrance is Gucci Intense. Ooh. Man, Gucci, Gucci, Gucci. Where have you been, Gucci? Where have you been for so long, Gucci? Man, this puts Gucci back on the map in a huge, huge way. The three words that I would use to describe Gucci Intense Oud: dark, dense, niche-ish. And I say niche-ish because yes, this doesn't quite meet the level of a niche quality scent, but it gets very, very close. Hence the ish part, you know. But yeah, this could for sure be a niche-ish scent. It smells extremely, extremely good. You don't find designer fragrances that have this type of depth, this type of density, this type of thickness, with traces of oud that would appeal to Western noses. You just don't find that in designer presentations. Okay guys, here we go, that top 3. I'm on the edge of my seat because honestly guys, all 3 of these fragrances are absolute bangers. All 3 of these fragrances were amazing releases, quality fragrances, and just great men's options released in 2016. All three of these fragrances are cold weather fragrances. As I said, cold weather fragrances dominated 2016's releases as far as quality, smell, and execution. Man, but the top three on this list, beautiful. Number 3, from the house of Thierry Mugler, the fragrance is Pure Tonka. The 3 words that I would use to describe Pure Tonka: masculine, thick, unique. Outside of the Mugler house, this fragrance is very, very different. Nothing like the Tonka-based scents we've been smelling over the last 2 years. Tonka has always been a major component of every one of their pure fragrances, most of them at least. So I don't think they were really hopping on a bandwagon. They probably were instrumental in creating that bandwagon. So Pure Tonka, it's very warm, it's very inviting. I really do appreciate it. It just smells like a man's scent, even though there's a sweetness to it. I struggled with putting number 2 so high on this list because it is such a derivative scent. It's such a copycat. And it would have easily made this list, but man, I was struggling with putting it 1, 2, 3, because it's kind of like a ripoff almost. But I started to think about it. And Valentino Uomo Intense, right here, is an absolutely beautiful, well-crafted fragrance. And definitely, in my opinion, the second best release for men in the year 2016. In my opinion, between Valentino Uomo Intense and Dior Homme Parfum, I really don't think there's a need for Dior Homme Intense at this point. Dior Homme Intense, I feel like, has become an obsolete scent because of those 2 fragrances. 3 words that I would use to describe Valentino Uomo Intense: smooth, seductive, derivative. To me, this fragrance was like Valentino doing a duo. It was like as if Valentino said, oh yeah, Dior, since you're gonna stomp all over Intense, we're just gonna pick it up for you and take it up a few notches. And I think they really did that. And last but not least, guys, number 1. Man, oh man, thank you so much for getting down to number 1 with me. I really appreciate you guys for watching. Number 1 to me is absolutely a banger. And the reason why I made this fragrance number 1 is not only because it just smelled so great, not only because it was such a high quality designer release. I put this fragrance number 1 because it just is so mind-blowing that a company that doesn't do fragrances could create something this high-end, this well-made. 2016's number 1 release by a designer company, in my opinion, without question, is Sweet Tobacco Spirits by 1821. Man-made. That was a mouthful, but the fragrance is amazing. I never even heard of the brand that made this fragrance before this fragrance came out. 99% of the world never heard of or smelled this scent before. And that's a shame. This fragrance is number 1 because it literally buried the designer fragrance industry. Buried them. And I think that earns it the number 1 spot. It's more honey than it is tobacco in my opinion. And it's very, very boozy, but man, 1821, man-made, killed it. I was very impressed, all in all. Obviously the theme is thick scents with a lot of sweetness, light scents with a lot of sweetness. And I wonder if that's going to be in ongoing trend in 2017. We'll see. So anyway, thank you so much guys for watching. I really appreciate your time. Let me know what you think. Comment down below. Like this video if you appreciated it. And of course, if you are not subscribed to SimplyPut Scents, please do. I would appreciate that. Guys, I'm E. And this is SimplyPut Scents. And I'm Simply OUT. Peace. Guess what, guys? Not only did he do Gucci pour Homme, but he also did For Men Absolute by Bentley. So no wonder it supposedly smells so much alike to Gucci pour Homme. But I'm really curious to find out how much alike they are.